Hello everyone. In this video lecture, we're going to be supplementing some of the topics that we discussed in our synchronous lesson by exploring the results of the quest for beauty as it is articulated in Abraham Merritt's Through the Dragon Glass. We're going to be focusing on the way in which this story continues to offer a metatextual commentary on the very purpose of its existence. Remember that we began this conversation about the story by discussing the aesthetics movement and the idea of art existing for art's sake. And then we said that this story, although it is not an actual example of the aesthetic movement, or it doesn't participate in the aesthetic movement, Abraham Merritt was not a member of that movement, it is nonetheless exploring those issues of beauty in a way that is reminiscent of the philosophies and theories regarding artistic creation that define or help to define the aesthetic. In our synchronous lesson, I asked you this question: how is the story related to the quest for beauty? What happens because of the effort to obtain or experience beauty? And you had to develop a kind of thesis statement in response to this question by examining the various different characters. Now, in that conversation, one of the things that I wanted to come out was the fact that every single one of these characters is, in his or her own way, on a quest for beauty. They localize or find beauty instantiated in different objects or different things, but all of them are on a quest to obtain, preserve, or to create beauty. Herndon is obsessed with obtaining Santhu. And in his case, there's a kind of erotic beauty that he reaches through the mirror. The work of art itself becomes this transcendent means by which he can obtain the beauty that lies beyond it. So the work of art, the dragon glass that is itself beautiful and might be sufficient for some, is the window into a higher plane of being by which he can obtain true beauty, that is Santhu on the other side. What we have here is a kind of reflection of a Platonic or Neoplatonic conception of beauty and the function of art. For Plato and for the Neoplatonic school of thought, this philosophical school of thought developed around Plato, beauty, insofar as it existed in the world, was merely a pale reflection of that idealized form of beauty that existed beyond this realm. He posited a realm of forms that gave substance and definition to everything that we saw within the world. So as an example, Plato said that every human being participates in the form of humanity. The thing that each and every human being has in common is this quality of humanness. That quality is not found within objects. It's not found within this physical world. It's found in another higher realm, the realm of the forms, as he called it. And in that realm, you have the perfect form, the perfect sort of nature or being of every single thing that exists. So you have the perfect triangle or the perfect human being. They aren't actually perfect human beings or perfect triangles. It's more like the definition or the form, the substance of it. Every single triangle in the real world is imperfect in some way. Its sides aren't exactly properly proportioned, or the angles don't quite meet up in the proper way as I draw it on a piece of paper because, well, I have the limitations of the tools. Every single human being is flawed in some way. We don't live up to the perfection of humanity. However, the form, it is that ideal substance, that ideal essence that every single thing participates in, or that every single thing, every single human being reflects improperly or imperfectly. Here, the object that is beautiful, according to Plato, gives us a window into the realm of the forms. It allows us to transcend the object and gives us a better appreciation for the true form of beauty, which is the object of our attentions and the object of our interest. It's the thing we should really be questing after. For Herndon, the work of art, the thing of beauty, is merely a window into that larger transcendent realm of beauty. It's a means by which he can obtain the thing of true beauty. That's his quest for. The narrator, on the other hand, is content with the possession, the physical possession of the object that for him instantiates beauty, the dragon glass itself. And that's one of the reasons why he's so obsessed with it. He tries to convince us to adopt his perspective on the beauty of it, in part because Herndon doesn't. He wants the beauty that lies behind it, the greater beauty. And in part, that is the reason that the narrator can't destroy the dragon glass. It's why, even though he begs Herndon to destroy it, at the end of the story, he's enraptured. He's caught within beauty in the same way. The very thing that destroyed Herndon, his attempt to obtain beauty, to possess beauty on the other side of the dragon glass, is the same thing that may in fact destroy the narrator, who can't bring himself to obliterate the dragon glass. And then there's Rack. Rack, who has this desire to create beauty in all its myriad forms. And that desire, in that paradox that we discussed in the last video, is the very thing that leads him to destroy that beauty. Because remember, as artists bring beauty into the world, take it from that realm of the imagination and instantiate it in physical form, suddenly it becomes corrupt and debased. And that too recalls this Neoplatonic idea of attempting to reach the beauty of the forms by means of that imperfect instantiation of beauty, taking that beauty that is transcendent and bringing it into the real realm, onto the real world, suddenly corrupts it and renders it debased. And that's the same thing for Rack. He is both, well, the Alpha and the Omega, going from Genesis to Revelation, God from Genesis, and the serpent from, or dragon from Revelation. He is God and Satan at once, the thing that creates the universe as he creates his world, and also the thing that despoils it and introduces corruption and sin and detracts it from it, right? Reducing it from that state of perfection, of being very good, just like Satan in the garden. In each of these cases, the quest for beauty is frustrated, or the quest for beauty is destructive, either of others or of the individual. Herndon is wounded. He comes back from his quest to obtain Santhu as a failure. He hasn't gotten her. And he has this horrible series of scars and wounds from the dragon that assaulted him. And then, in the end, he's lost to the other world. And we get the sense that although the narrator insists that he will be back, that sounds like a horrible prophecy. At the end of the story, the narrator says that Herndon will indeed return. I sit night after night before the glass, waiting for him to come back through it, with Santhu. Sooner or later, they will come. That I know. That doesn't sound optimistic. That sounds terrified. He's sitting there in dread. I envision him sitting with like the elephant gun that has been left behind in front of the dragon glass, awake at night, waiting for Santhu and Herndon and maybe something else to come through. If Herndon ever does return, it's not going to be a joyous reunion. It's going to be a horror. Rack is cast from earth. His desire to create something beautiful earns the ire and scorn of the greatest wonder worker, the creature or the being that is, by implication, his illegitimate father. Rack is the being's or God's bastard son. So what we have here is Rack, who desires to create something beautiful, is punished for it. He is cast from earth, he's cast into another universe and constrained therein. And he is only given a small portion of the souls that pass through our world that enter into him, one in every so many million. Now, the narrator begins with this feeling of disgust towards the dragon glass. He loves it, he thinks it's beautiful, but then when it is corrupted and perverted by the realization of what lies behind it, it's suddenly terrifying, something that he desires to escape from and destroy. But by the end of the story, he can't. The beauty has done exactly what the metaphor that he adopted of the man underwater foretold. He's drowned in the beauty of it. He can't escape from it. He can't breathe. And it's the very thing that's going to suffocate him and choke the life out of him because he can't escape from it. He can't destroy the dragon glass. He's lost to it. In these ways, the story reflects the fact that there's a parallel between the quest for beauty and the weird tale. The weird tale, in a strange way, is about this quest for beauty. It's an attempt to capture something that is beyond the prosaic world in which we live. But we're limited by our language. We're limited by our reality. We can't bring the dreams and phantasms and wonders that we see and we wish to capture in order to escape from this world into reality without turning them into something terrible. And that failure gives way to the weird. That failure gives way to the sense of dread and awed listening and hushed terror that helps to define this genre. So, what we have here, in a sense, is perhaps not consciously on Abraham Merritt's part, but subconsciously, as he grapples with this issue of beauty, a very reflection on the genre in which he is writing. It's almost a metatextual commentary on the way in which these stories function and the fraught quest of the authors of the weird to grapple with these transcendent emotions and the failure to truly capture the beautiful